Most riders don't crash their motorcycle. They quietly destroy it. Not in one moment, not in one bad decision. Over thousands of miles, across months and years, through 17 habits so ordinary they don't even register as dangerous. Last year, more bikes were written off from neglect and preventable mechanical failure than from collisions. The engine didn't seize because of bad luck. The transmission didn't fail because of a defect. It happened because of what the owner did and didn't do every single week. In this video, I'm breaking down all 17. Every habit, every consequence, every fix. By the end, you'll know exactly what's killing your bike right now and how to stop it. A few months ago, a bike came into the shop that looked immaculate. Clean frame, fresh-looking tires, not a scratch on the tank. The owner was genuinely confused about why it was running rough, losing power, and burning through fuel like it had a leak. He hadn't made one big mistake. He had made 4 small ones, consistently, for 3 years. Bad warm-up habits, wrong oil interval, a stretched chain he had never measured, and a coolant level he had topped up with tap water. Individually, none of those things kills a bike. Together, they did. Here's what those habits look like and how to stop them before they stop you. Habit number 17, skipping the pre-ride walk-around. It takes 90 seconds. Most riders skip it every single time. A pre-ride check isn't ritual, it's intelligence gathering. Tire pressure can drop overnight. A brake line can be weeping fluid. The chain is sitting 2 inches lower than it was yesterday. You won't feel any of these at 0 miles per hour in the garage. You will feel all of them at 60 miles per hour on the highway. And by then, it is a different conversation entirely. 90 seconds before you ride, every time. Habit number 16, letting the tank sit empty in storage. An empty tank feels like a safe tank. It isn't. Steel fuel tanks are designed to have fuel against them at all times. When you store a bike with an empty tank, moisture gets in. Humidity condenses on bare metal walls over a winter that produces rust. Rust particles then circulate through your fuel system the moment you fire it up in spring. That can cause petcock damage, injector clogs, and carb jets that cost more to clean than you'd believe. If you have a plastic tank, you're not off the hook. The fuel lines, petcock, and carb bowls still degrade from sitting dry. Store with a full tank, properly treated fuel stabilizer, and a closed petcock. That's it. Habit number 15, ignoring tire pressure for weeks at a time. Tires lose pressure constantly. Even a tire with no damage or puncture loses 1 to 2 psi per month naturally. In colder weather, it drops faster. Running low on pressure doesn't just affect handling. It deforms the tire's contact patch, generates heat unevenly, and accelerates wear in patterns that can't be reversed. You don't feel it until the bike starts feeling vague in corners, and by then, the tire has already taken the damage. Check pressure cold before every ride. The gauge costs $5. The tire costs $300. Habit number 14, running cold engines at high revolutions per minute immediately after starting. Cold oil is thick, too viscous to circulate fully and coat every surface it is meant to protect. The clearances between engine parts are also tighter when cold, because metal expands as it heats. When you twist the throttle hard on a cold engine, you are forcing those components to move fast against each other with inadequate lubrication and wrong tolerances. Every time you do it, you are removing microscopic material from cylinder walls, piston rings, and bearings. You cannot see it happening. You will see it in your oil, metal particles that accumulate on the drain plug long before the engine shows any external symptoms. Let it idle for 90 seconds minimum before you ride. Ride easy for the first few miles. Habit number 13, using the wrong chain lube for the conditions. There are 2 types of chain lube for a reason. Wet lube is thick, stays on in rain, and resists being washed away. Dry lube is thinner, cleaner, and doesn't attract dirt in dry conditions. Using wet lube in dry, dusty conditions turns your chain into a dirt magnet. The lube collects grit. The grit becomes an abrasive paste, and that paste runs continuously between your chain links and sprocket teeth. Using dry lube in wet conditions means no lube at all within 20 miles of rain. Match the lube to the conditions. This is one of the cheapest, easiest wins in motorcycle maintenance, and almost nobody does it. Habit number 12, never checking brake fluid color. Brake fluid absorbs moisture from the air. Over time, as it takes on water, the boiling point drops. That matters because under hard braking, your brake fluid heats up. If the boiling point has dropped enough, it vaporizes inside the line, and vapor does not transmit pressure the way fluid does. Your lever goes soft. Sometimes it goes to the bar. The color tells you a lot. Dark fluid, amber or brown, is a reliable sign of age and heat degradation. Change it regardless of how long it has been sitting. Fresh fluid is pale yellow, almost clear. If yours is dark, it is overdue. This is not expensive to fix. Brake fade at the wrong moment is catastrophic. Habit 11, washing the bike and putting it away wet. Water finds every gap. It wicks into cable housings, sits in bearing races, settles into electrical connectors, and pools inside hollow frame sections. When you park a wet bike in a closed garage, that water does not evaporate. It sits. It rusts. It corrodes. After washing, run the engine briefly to heat things up. Wipe down every cable end, dry the chain, and apply lubricant immediately. Give it air before you cover it. Washing a bike is not maintenance. Drying it is. Those habits chip away at your bike slowly, one ride at a time, one season at a time. The next group accelerates the damage because these are the habits riders actively defend. Habit number 10, going straight to hard acceleration without any warm-up riding. Some riders know not to sit and rev a cold engine, so they pull out of the driveway and immediately ride aggressively, thinking movement equals warm-up. It does not. Moving slowly in light throttle for the first 2 to 3 miles is not the same as pinning the throttle at the first junction. Oil temperature and coolant temperature need time to stabilize even under movement. Bearing clearances need to equalize. Until that happens, you are putting full mechanical stress on components that are not ready for it. The first 3 miles should be boring. Let them be boring. Habit number 9, using cheap generic oil because oil is oil. It is not. Motorcycle engines, especially those with wet clutches, have specific requirements for oil friction characteristics. Many car oils contain friction modifiers that are intentional for car engines, and they are destructive for motorcycle clutch packs. Beyond that, the viscosity grade matters for your specific engine's tolerances, operating temperature range, and manufacturer specification. Generic, off-brand oil might meet the baseline API rating. It will not meet the JASOMA or MA2 rating your wet clutch needs. The cost difference between correct oil and incorrect oil is a few dollars per oil change. The cost difference between a working clutch and a slipping one is several $100s. Habit number 8, ignoring coolant level until the temperature warning appears. By the time most temperature lights come on, the engine is already running hotter than it should. You are being informed of a problem, not warned before it starts. Low coolant does not just mean the engine runs hotter. It means the cooling system cannot maintain pressure correctly, which lowers the coolant boiling point and disrupts the entire thermal regulation of the engine. Cylinder head temperatures spike, head gaskets take the load, aluminum components warp. Engine damage can be severe. Check coolant level every 2 weeks. With a cold engine, confirm the reservoir level is correct and the coolant mixture ratio is correct. This is not optional maintenance. It is the thing that keeps your engine the right shape. Habit number 7, never lubricating cables and controls. Throttle cable, clutch cable, brake lever pivots. These are moving parts under tension and load on every single ride. They live in housings exposed to rain, road spray, dust, and temperature swings. Without lubrication, the cable housing corrodes from the inside. The cable frays where it contacts metal. Friction builds. you start to feel it as stiffness, then as a delayed throttle response. Occasionally, the throttle does not fully close, and that is its own emergency. Cable lube is a $2 spray. Run it through every cable housing at least once per season. Habit number 6, stretching oil changes because it still looks fine. Used oil does not fail because it turns black. It fails because the additive package is depleted. The detergents, anti-wear agents, and viscosity modifiers in engine oil have a finite lifespan measured in heat cycles and miles, not color. Oil can look relatively clean and still have no meaningful protection left in it. By the time it looks bad, you have already been riding on degraded oil for thousands of miles. Your manufacturer's interval exists for a reason. If you are doing hard miles, riding in hot climates, or taking track days, shorten that interval. Do not extend it because the oil looks okay. Habit number 5, riding with a chain that's too loose or too tight. A chain that's too loose slaps against the swing arm, generates shock loads through the sprockets, and can jump teeth under hard acceleration. A chain that's too tight places continuous tension on the countershaft bearing and can snap under load. Most riders check chain slack by feel. Feeling is not a measurement. Your owner's manual specifies slack in millimeters, typically 20 to 30 millimeters for most bikes, measured at the correct point on the lower chain run. That measurement point varies by manufacturer, so confirm it in your own manual. Use a ruler. Check at multiple points around the wheel. If the slack varies significantly between tight and loose spots, the chain is worn and no adjustment will fix it. A new chain costs $80. A countershaft bearing replacement costs your entire weekend. Habit number 4, relying exclusively on the front brake without understanding weight distribution. The front brake provides 70 to 80% of your stopping power. Most riders know this and use it. Fewer understand what happens to the suspension geometry and tire contact patch during hard front braking. When you squeeze the front hard without progressive input, you compress the fork rapidly, shift weight forward, and reduce rear tire contact just as the rear tries to stay in line. If you then release the front too quickly, the fork rebounds sharply, the chassis destabilizes, and you can lose control from the oscillation, not from the brake itself, but from the rebound. Braking is a system. Front and rear, progressive application, smooth release. Practice it. Because the moment you need to stop fast and your technique isn't automatic, that technique doesn't exist. If this is the kind of breakdown you want before it costs you, hit subscribe. Every week, no padding, no fluff. Everything so far is fixable in an afternoon with basic tools and $40 in supplies. What's coming next is different. Some of this damage is already happening on your bike right now, and you won't know until it's too late to catch it cheaply. Habit number 3, never checking valve clearances. This is the one most riders have never done. Many don't know it exists. Inside your engine, the valves that control intake and exhaust have a specified clearance between the valve stem and the rocker arm or cam lobe. That clearance, measured in hundredths of a millimeter, changes as the engine wears. Valves tighten. When a valve runs with insufficient clearance, it cannot fully close. A valve that cannot fully close lets combustion gases leak past the seat. That burns the valve edge. A burned valve does not seal. Compression drops, power drops. Eventually the engine will not start on that cylinder or will not start at all. The frustrating part is that it is silent. There is no warning. The engine does not knock or rattle when valves are tight. It just slowly loses efficiency until one day it loses compression entirely. Check valve clearances at your manufacturer's specified interval. That interval varies more than most riders expect. Some bikes need a check at 6,000 miles, others are fine to 26,000 miles. There is no universal number. If you have owned your bike for 3 years and never looked at your service manual's valve check schedule, check it today. The check itself can be done at home with feeler gauges. Ignoring it means a valve job, and a valve job is not cheap. Habit number 2, storing the bike with old fuel in the carburetor or injectors. Petrol is not stable. Left to sit, it oxidizes. The volatile compounds evaporate. What remains is a varnish, a sticky, lacquer-like residue that coats everything it touches. In a carburetor, that varnish blocks jets, clogs passages, and turns what was a precision-tuned fuel delivery system into something that won't idle correctly, hesitates under load, and runs rich or lean in ways that resist tuning, because the problem isn't the tune, it's the contamination. A carb clean can take an entire day. A full rebuild costs more than that. In fuel-injected bikes, old fuel can partially block injector nozzles, altering the spray pattern and fuel mixture. The bike runs, but not correctly, not efficiently, and the injector is already compromised. Before any storage period longer than 3 weeks, run the fuel system dry or treat it with stabilizer. This is not negotiable. The damage done by varnished jets or injectors is entirely, completely, 100% preventable every single time. Habit number 1, riding on suspension that has never been set up for your weight. This is the habit that doesn't just affect one system. It affects every system simultaneously, and it's the one almost no one addresses. Your suspension came from the factory set for a median rider weight, not your weight, not your riding style, not your typical load. The preload on your fork springs and rear shock determines the bike's ride height, rake angle, and how weight transfers under braking and acceleration. If it is wrong, and for most riders it is, every single interaction you have with that motorcycle is compromised. Here's what wrong suspension actually looks like in practice. You brake hard, and the front dives more than it should, increasing the angle of attack and reducing the tire's ability to generate lateral grip at the moment you need it most. You accelerate out of a corner, and the rear squats excessively, reducing ground clearance and changing the steering geometry mid-arc. You hit a bump in a corner, and the suspension compresses fully, hitting the stops instead of absorbing it. That is not a handling preference. That is a crash waiting for the right moment. Beyond safety, incorrect suspension accelerates wear on every component it affects. Forks that dive too far wear seals faster. Rear shocks that bottom out damage internal valving. Tires wear unevenly because the contact patch is never correct. Setting preload for your weight takes 20 minutes and a C-spanner. Most bikes have the preload adjustment accessible without removing any bodywork. The service manual gives you a sag measurement target. For most street motorcycles, that is somewhere between 25 and 40 millimeters of rider sag under your weight with gear. Confirm the exact figure for your model. You measure it, you adjust, you measure again. That's it, 20 minutes. And every other system on your bike starts working the way it was designed to work. Most riders will finish this video and still never check their suspension sag. They will keep riding a motorcycle that is compensating for a setup problem with their inputs, their reaction time, and eventually, their luck. You know better now. Your motorcycle does not blow up from one bad day. It degrades from 17 small ones, repeated until the damage compounds past the point where any single fix makes a difference. Most riders will go back to their garage tonight and do at least 4 of these without thinking about it. Skip the walk around. Start cold and ride hard. Ignore the chain slack. Never touch the suspension. You won't. Not because this video gave you a checklist, but because you now understand the mechanism. You know what's actually happening inside the engine when cold oil does not circulate. You know what varnish does to a jet. You know what incorrect sag does to your braking geometry at the exact moment it matters most. Fix the habits, and the bike you own right now could outlast the one you're currently riding into the ground. Motorcycles do not die from crashes alone. They die from being trusted by someone who did not know what they were trusting.